Wax on, wax off. But did you know the Karate Kid almost had a totally different title? Today, we're diving into bizarre and little-known facts about the 1984 classic that made crane kicks legendary. Even if you've seen it 100 times, I promise Factual 7 will blow your mind. The movie almost had a totally different name. Before The Karate Kid was finalized, studio executives toyed with alternative titles, including The Karate Teen and The Way of the Karate. The name The Karate Kid actually came from a 1960s DC comic book series about a superhero who knew karate, but the film's producers got permission to use it. Interestingly, the original working title for the script was East Meets West in West Valley. Imagine trying to market that on a movie poster. Ralph Macchio himself thought the title sounded a little corny at first, but over time, it became one of the most recognizable in movie history. Ralph Macchio was way older than Daniel LaRusso. Ralph Macchio convincingly played a 17-year-old high school student, but he was actually 22 during filming. His youthful looks made it easy to pass for a teenager, which shocked many viewers when they found out. Even funnier, Macchio was older than William Zabka, Johnny Lawrence, who played his high school rival. Zabka was only 18 at the time. Macchio's mature professionalism reportedly impressed director John G. Avildsen, helping him land the part over hundreds of other young actors. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine anyone else in the role, no matter their real age during production. Pat Morita almost didn't get the role of Mr. Miyagi. Believe it or not, the studio didn't want Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi at first. Morita was best known for comedy roles, especially Arnold from Happy Days, and executives doubted audiences could take him seriously. Director Avildsen pushed hard for Morita, but even after auditioning, Morita was asked to grow a beard and adopt a more traditional Japanese accent to prove he could do the role. Once the studio saw the screen tests, they were convinced Morita's quiet strength and warmth brought the heart of the film to life, earning him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. The crane kick wasn't in the original script. The most iconic moment in The Karate Kid, Daniel's crane kick, wasn't planned from the start. The move was invented during filming by martial arts choreographer Pat E. Johnson, who wanted Daniel to have a visually striking final attack. Director Avildsen loved the look and immediately wrote it into the climax. Interestingly, real martial artists argue it wouldn't be very effective in an actual fight. Yet, its dramatic flair and perfect setup made it unforgettable on screen. Without that improvisation, we might never have had one of the most famous freeze-frame moments in movie history. Elizabeth Shue's role was cut short. Elizabeth Shue played Ollie Mills, Daniel's love interest, but her storyline abruptly ended before the final scenes. The reason? She had to leave filming early to return to Harvard University for classes. Because of this, her character simply disappears without much explanation toward the end. In fact, the breakup between Daniel and Allie is only mentioned in passing in The Karate Kid Part 2. This behind-the-scenes scheduling quirk left many fans confused for years about why Ollie wasn't at Daniel's big tournament victory. Luckily, she reprised her role in Cobra Kai, giving fans long-awaited closure. The film was shot in just 45 days. For a movie that became such a cultural phenomenon, The Karate Kid was filmed incredibly quickly, just 45 days from start to finish. Most of the locations were real places in Los Angeles, including Daniel's apartment complex, the Cobra Kai dojo, and the high school. The tight shooting schedule meant long days, with some scenes filmed in just 1 or 2 takes. Director Avildsen credited the cast's professionalism for keeping things on track. Considering how polished the final product looks, it's impressive that such a beloved film was made on such a fast timeline. The skeleton costumes came from a cheap Halloween store. The Cobra Kai gang's skeleton costumes from the Halloween dance scene have become instantly recognizable, but they weren't custom-made movie props. They were actually cheap Halloween costumes bought from a local party supply store in Los Angeles. The budget-friendly approach worked so well that the costumes became one of the film's most iconic visuals. Even decades later, they've been recreated in Cobra Kai and countless fan cosplays. It's a perfect example of how sometimes the simplest, cheapest prop can become pop culture gold. Pat Morita created Wax On, Wax Off. The most famous training mantra in the movie Wax On, Wax Off wasn't part of martial arts tradition at all. Pat Morita came up with it during rehearsal as a way to make Mr. Miyagi's lessons more memorable and lighthearted. The idea fit perfectly with Miyagi's teaching style, learning karate through everyday chores. Director Avildsen loved the line and made it a recurring motif throughout the film. Decades later, it's one of the most quoted phrases in movie history, instantly recognizable even to people who haven't seen the film. There's a real Karate Kid connection to Rocky. Director John G. Avildsen also directed Rocky 1976, and he brought a similar underdog spirit to the Karate Kid. In fact, the tournament scenes were filmed with some of the same techniques used in Rocky's boxing matches: swooping camera shots, slow-motion punches, and a big climactic freeze frame. Bill Conti, who composed the Rocky score, also wrote the music for the Karate Kid, giving both films a similar emotional punch. This connection explains why both movies have that same feel-good, against-the-odds energy that leaves audiences cheering by the end. Ralph Macchio still owns the original headband. The white headband with the blue sun design, worn by Daniel in his training and the final fight, became a symbol of the movie. That headband was actually hand-sewn by Pat Morita's wife and given to Macchio on set. He treasured it so much that he kept it after filming Wrapped, and still owns it today. It has made appearances in interviews, conventions, and even in Cobra Kai. For Macchio, it's not just a prop, it's a reminder of the once-in-a-lifetime role that defined his career.